Welcome back, Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classic / Non-Classic. This episode number 1403 and Doubleshot number 1297. I have two DC trades here. One is a trade that collected issues way back in 2002. Yes, but the trade set came out a few years ago. What trade is it? Hawkman by Geoff Johns, Book 1. Collecting the first 14 issues of Hawkman Volume 4 and Hawkman Secret Files Orders Number 1. Yes, written by Geoff Johns, also co-written by James Robinson for some of the issues. Artwork for the most part is by Rag Morales. Yeah, he's the primary artist on here with three other artists. Patrick Gleason, Ethan Skyver, and Don Kramer. Yep, this is basically spinning off of what happened in the Return of Hawkman storyline in the pages of JSA. So, I guess that James Robinson, I don't know whose idea it was to bring back this book. It was James Robinson or it was Geoff Johns. Not sure which one it was, but whoever it was, good idea. Yep. Now, fun fact about this run for Hawkman. I'm not talking about the creators on the book. The creator book left at issue 25. But this book was the longest running Hawkman book. Out of every single Hawkman volume ever published by DC Comics, this run was the longest, lasting a total number of 66 issues. Even had a rename from Hawkman to Hawkgirl at issue 50. And Geoff Johns and James Robinson already left the book long before that. Yeah. Isn't that quite strange? This book, not the book from the 90s, not from the 80s, not from the 60s. Yeah, Hawkman at times, from what I can tell, had trouble selling a lot. And apparently with this book, probably because Geoff Johns was the original writer of the book, I guess that's one of the reasons for the book's success. And yes, we also had the Ravagers run. I would say probably the shortest Hawkman run is probably Savage Hawkman 20 issues. Perfectly understand with that one. This one is not the Alien Hawkman. It is the original Golden Age Hawkman, Carter Hall, who's got black hair. Yeah, there's a reason for that. They explain this a bit later on, but the thing was, him, Hawkwoman, this is of course from the Hawk-World series, that one, along with Hawkman from the Hawk-World series, also with Timothy Truman, where they kind of merged together to this Hawk-like being, and that Kadar Hall died. Hawkwoman lived, and Kadar Hall sacrificed his body and gave it to Carter Hall. And there's a thing in here about why he did take off his mask a lot of the time. He also reveals that apparently that this harness that he wears basically prevents him getting cold. Like, he doesn't get cold, right against body temperature, basically. Also, unlike Hawkgirl, who does remember all her past lives, Hawkman does. Yes, he remembers pretty much all of his lives. Well, unlike the current version, where he remembered, he basically found out one of his lives he never knew about, which is fine. But that's simply how Hawkman's been established here, is that, yes, this is the one from the Golden Age, operating modern day. Now, unlike he operated in the Golden and Silver Age, where he operated Midway City, here he's operating up St. Rock, which is the hometown of Hawkgirl. Now, this I thought was quite strange and head-scratching. If you read a lot of Hawkman comics, what city was generally Hawkman based in? Midway City. Yes, I know the city was used for the Suicide Squad movie, and I still question, though, you're in Midway City, and you don't have Hawkman show up. Yep. Now, of course, they do various different things here. They also have an encounter with the Shadow Thief, because, of course, the Shadow Thief pops up in here. Also, the Gentleman Ghost pops up in here as well. Yes, the Gentleman Ghost. Two characters who are long-time Hawkman villains. Yeah, in the case of Gentleman Ghost, Hawkman has known him since the 1940s, when he first met him back in Flash Comics. Yeah, this is the same guy. Jim Craddock. Now, the Shadow Thief, Carl Sands, he's a villain from the Silver Age of comics. You might be thinking, Silver Age. And yeah, he's a Hawkman villain. Well, at the time when he made his debut back in the 60s, that particular Carl Sands fought the Kadar Hall Hawkman, who was an alien. Though they since integrated that Hawkman as the previous life of Hawkman. That's what they pretty much recognize that in the current continuity, where this is of course pre-Flash, by the way. In the current post-Flashpoint continuity, they acknowledge that Carter Hall does exist, but he was a past life of Carter Hall, where he was a policeman on Thanagar. And of course, they mention Thanagar frequently here. Oh yeah, and also here's kind of the thing. Kendra Saunders tells Carter she is not interested in romance. She's not in love with him at all. Despite the fact in a later run, despite the fact in the Jim Palmiotti run, they actually do have sex. I'm not kidding about that. They seriously do. On a spaceship. That happens long after this basically wraps up. Yep. So they also investigate a particular, let's just say there's this story, rich historian lives now who's obsessed with history, like Hawkman, and like one point he's threatening him, and he knows Hawkman will destroy his prize, but Hawk-Girl will, because she doesn't give a damn about it. Yeah, he knows Hawkman really well. This is one thing that I fell in love with the character of Hawkman, his interest in history. And given the fact I love history myself, that drew me to the character, and the fact this guy is like enriched with history, and the fact traced back to ancient Egypt, which is quite nice. He also has a brief romance with a woman he met in Africa, who he brings over, and the way it's depicted here, it's almost like she was a previous version of like a previous girlfriend he had back in ancient Egypt, and then she's killed in the book by the Gentleman Ghost. Just to get back to Hawkman. Yep. I gotta say, for a start for this book, it is pure fun reading this book. It is amazing. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It is pure freaking awesome. Yeah, and by the way, the relationship in here between Hawkman and Hawk-Girl is that they're just close friends. Yeah, there's also one point here that Hawkman was briefly taken as a slave. Yeah, he was captured by a group of aliens because, of course, Hawkman battles aliens. That's the same with Hawkman. This is nothing unusual for him. Battling aliens, battling members of his own rogues gallery, fighting historical stuff. Nothing unusual for him. As a matter of fact, when he was playing on TV, he was played by Michael Shanks from Stargate Atlantis. Not Stargate, Stargate SG-1, which he did a fantastic job as Hawkman. Some people didn't like his portrayal of Hawkman. I love this portrayal of Hawkman because, well, it seemed like he got the part. Well, yeah, they actually, for him, when they put him in live action, they gave him sort of like a chest plate armor. It's simply the same outfit as you see here on the cover, but they gave him sort of like a chest plate cover, probably because he didn't want to show off any chest. That's possible, because if you look at Hawkman, he walked out without a shirt on. Also, the book has a really cool ending to it, where, get this, they actually somebody from the Timothy Trueborn Hawk World series, where we have Shira Thal shows up. Yep, she shows up. Now, what's the purpose of being there? She sets up a story arc that involves her fighting the two Hawks of the series, which is really, really good. Oh, I give this book a 10 out of 10 because it's really damn good. Whenever I come across Geoff Johns books, I never come across a bad one. And this is during a period of time when he's writing this book, he's writing JSA, he's writing Teen Titans, and the frickin' Flash. Yes, all at the same time, writing 4 books at the time the issues came out. Though, this is actually by far his shortest book he was actually on, because if you look at JSA, he was in the book for a long time, even after its relaunch, basically, as Justice Society America Volume 3. He was in the book for, like, almost a decade before he finally left. I would say that's probably one of his more longer runs he's had. And in the case of his Flash run, I think he was, at this point, I think he was getting close to wrapping up his run for Flash. I think he had about 2 or 3 more years left in the book. Excuse me. So, yeah, I know that Brian Michael Bendis has been accused a lot of time taking too many books. Geoff Johns was doing the same thing. No wonder why these two would compare with each other. I know in the past, let's say, I think in the past decade, he's tremendously trimmed down the amount of books he's had, basically, writing at one point. Yes. Currently, I think the most recent book he worked on was, I think it was an issue, one of the one-shots for Dark Knight Death Metal. Yeah, that was just after they wrapped up Doomsday Clock and his Shazam series. But here's the thing. By the time of the Flashpoint reboot, he was already down 3 books at that point, which was Aquaman, Justice League, and Green Lantern. Now, His Aquaman run was fantastic. Love his run for Aquaman. Aquaman. Yes, I thought it was a great run. His run for Green Lantern. Amazing. 20 straight issues, basically, for the relaunch. Though he left the book. Though the thing is, for that book, he ran the book since 2004. So, perfectly understandable why he left the book after writing the book for 9 years. For Justice League, he wrote that book for about 5 years before he finally left the book. Yes. But if you look at, like, any book he's worked on, like, you probably ask, okay, what is Geoff Johns' shortest book he ever worked on? His original book that he created for DC, who he still uses the characters up until like very recently, Stars and Stripe. Yeah, that is by far his shortest series he's ever written. It only lasted 14 issues and had an issue 0. Yeah, it wasn't that long of a series. I think it may have been canceled due to the low sales, possibly. Yes, though he did integrate the character in the pages of JSA. Alright, moving on to a different book. A book that, unlike Hawkman, which is a good book, and I love it, and I think there's a lot of love for Hawkman, especially in the last 20 years, there's been a lot more respect given to Hawkman, especially by DC Comics, and there probably is some newer fans who basically are just getting into comics, and they probably are loving Hawkman because how much of an amazing character he is. Though, I can't say anything about the Savage Hawkman book. But from the era of the New 52 line of books, we have The Ravagers. Yep, the book that spun off from the Culling. Unlike other books for DC for New 52, this book was not very long last ever title. Nope, last 12 issues. This book collects the first 7 out of 12 issues for this run. Yep, written by Howard Mankey. It'll have 1 issue done by Tom DeFalco. Artwork by, I think, by 1 artist on here. Actually, there were a whole boatload of artists. Like, oh my gosh, for 7 issues, this is a lot. We have Ian Churchill, Noel Rand, but he's doing the primary. We also have Daniel Separ, John Sebel, Tom Rainey, Seva Martino, Julio Gopez, Scott Hanna, Tyler Kirkham, Marlo Acquazia, Eduardo Pesita, Daniel Harrer, and Gerardo Borges. Maybe some people were the anchors, I'm not sure. The cover right here is by Ian Churchill and Alex Salazzo, who was the colorist. Now, this book starts off right where that Culling crossover left off, where the Ravagers basically are just, well, they kind of start up going their separate ways, where they come back together because of brother blood. Yes, brother blood is what brings back together the Ravagers. Now, you probably think like, okay, who's part of this group? Base Boy, Terra of the Teen Titans, Caitlin Fairchild of Gen 13, Thunder and Lightning, which they changed Lightning to a woman, Ridge. Basically, show up the characters here if I can. Okay, that should be good enough. Yep, these are your characters. There's Caitlin Fairchild, right dead center. That's Beast Boy. The blonde is Terra. These two, Thunder and Lightning, and there's Ridge. And throughout most of the book, they're not really together. They're basically doing their own thing. And so about halfway through the book, like, oh, let's bring the characters together and have their own base known as the Arena. Oh, by the way, the person who runs this place is Niles Cordair. Now you're probably thinking, Niles Cordair. Some might scratch it like, who the heck is this guy? The Chief of Doom Patrol. Yeah. This is technically not his first appearance. He actually made his first appearance in Migrave's Adventure, along with Robot Man. Yep, that was his first post-Flash appearance in that particular run. It was only a very brief run, lasting about 6 issues. Yeah, he appeared for 1 story for that. And they also had it where, later on, it's revealed later on in the book, that they had a security robot who is the Animal Vegetable Middleman. No joke, that seriously is true. Now, you're probably thinking, look at Beast Boy. Like, okay, you want a better look at Beast Boy? Here you go. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Nick, why the heck is Beast Boy red? Well, the reason is because he has a connection to the red. Though there's hints in here that he might be turning green, which I think that even Howard Mankey must have realized that was a mistake to make him red. Also, we also have Superboy pops up in here. Why? Because it's past with Caitlin Fairchild. They even have one point, they have themselves a sparring match. Yep, Caitlin Fairchild. I think Caitlin Fairchild. Is she a weak woman? Nope, she is super strong. Look here in the cover. She's got freaking muscles, for crying out loud. Also, those devices that are on, like, Lightning's chest. Those having a Harvest put on there. Oh, by the way, Harvest in the book as the main villain of the series. Yeah, they're on run from him. And also, he's not the only one looking for the Ravagers. Oh no, it's really the end of the book that Deathstroke is after them. Yes, Deathstroke. Now you're probably thinking, why the heck is Deathstroke after them? That's not revealed until the final issue of this series of why he's after them too. Also, we do have the Ravager herself, Rose Wilson. She pops up in here along with Wildfire. Yep, they pop up in here as recurring characters, which is fine. I like the artwork in here. The artwork is actually pretty good. But the main problem with this book, and a lot of people had this really big problem with this book when the book came out, like the writing style and the style of storytelling. And the fact also, this book spun off of an event that was not very popular with a lot of people. The Culling. A book that basically was a mess. And this book, I don't think it's terrible per se. I've heard one guy said it was boring. Me, personally, I think it's okay. It's got good artwork. Yeah, I think the artwork is pretty consistent with the whole book. And here's the thing. I think anybody who was reading probably didn't read this book. You know those Tron outfits they had at the start of the series? Yeah, by issue like 4 or 5, they switch them out to brand new attires. Yep, with the exception of Superboy. Yeah, Superboy, they managed to maintain his outfit per se. But oh boy. Also, we have here, get this, we have Lightning like skinny dipping, and her brother's there too, and apparently she has no problem with everybody seeing her naked. Yep, she has no problem with it at all. Oh yeah, she does some fighting in the nude. And if you want to get a look at Brother Blood here, now I appreciate that the artists actually remember what the heck this guy looks like. Yes, one can tell it looks like he's loosely inspired by the George Perez look. Though yes, it's not. I think this was technically his first appearance post Flashpoint. Though after this particular series wrapped up, he later popped up in Animal-Man and popped up for Untitled books. Now, as for the new attires that they have, which I gotta say, for these attires, even though they're not like they were before, I at least gotta admit they're actually not bad looking costumes. No, I think it was Ian Church talking about these costumes. Yeah, they're not bad looking costumes. Bear those awful and of course the other Lightning that weren't the zippers anymore. Yes, because like look at this page here. Like you can tell they have zippers like all over the place in the costume, look really like disjointed. And then here it's like wow, like I gotta admit this is actually not bad looking to look for these characters. Like, Beast Boy, I think it's kind of weird for him to just wear shorts. Terra, well, her outfit's fine. It's typical Terra outfit. Lightning is like, okay, that's something else altogether. Actually, it's not here on the cover, but Thunder's here, and that's actually Caitlin Fairchild. Lightning, for some reason, is not in this picture for some reason. Not really sure why. Yeah, but for the start of the series, it's not bad per se. No, but I'm going to give the book roughly 8. I would give it 8.5 out of 10. But, well, we got one more book for that one. That's simply for that series. Yep. Howard Mankey himself is not a terrible writer per se. I don't blame him for this book. I blame DC Editorial for basically what happened in this book. But it's not a terrible book per se. And Lobdell has nothing to do with this book at all. No. I think that Tom DeFalco was writing Legion Lost at that point. I think so, yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for particular review. Stay tuned for my next Comic Corner, which will be one DC trade, which is actually kind of the last thing to talk about when it comes to this particular series, and the start of a brand new trade series. Okay, see you next video. Bye.